Hello, I'm Sean, and in March 2020 I was 260 pounds. Now I'm 180, and because of that, Amon of Papa Fitness UAE asked me to do a video. It's probably gonna be a series of videos on that transformation, if you want to call it that. I don't think it's anything special. He thought it'd be inspiring for people to hear the story. I'm trying to figure out if it's even worth telling, but we'll see. I'll take myself down the journey and see what people find of interest or help, as it may be. Also, Kalo she's a Dutch lady out of Netherlands, and she's been very encouraging too to do this. So this is the first video of how and why I lost 80 pounds. And I thought first I would say some things. I would kind of start on this first video. I won't get into how I lost it. I'm going to get into how I gained it first. And maybe that's kind of a big learning people can have because it is a little bit, for me, it's a little bit of a soul search or whatever. It's kind of a journey down mistakes made and others can learn from, I guess. And the first thing you got to go and understand about me was I was a fit guy in my younger days. You know, I was played American football, studied martial arts in college. I weightlifted, I competitively powerlifted for a while. I wasn't by any means, I knew my way around a gym. I knew my way around how to exercise and take care of myself through college, after college, as my career advanced, as I got married. So basically I knew how to, I traveled internationally as part of my earlier days of working in corporate jobs. And I knew how to handle, you gain 10 pounds, you lose it, you get back in shape, those things happen over certain times, but I knew how to manage it. And it wasn't really an issue from a lifestyle perspective. And that's the best thing to talk about is lifestyle. And so, there really wasn't a challenge for me at that time. And so I'd say there was probably two pivotal moments when, probably most people kind of have a lifestyle change that they don't really grasp, and it can overwhelm. I don't mean in a bad way, I guess, but it can overwhelm you in certain ways. And that's one is having kids. I mean, marriage does, don't get me wrong, you learn to live with someone, all those things, but from a real accommodating yourself to the lifestyle, having kids is big because it's probably the first moment that you really start living for another adult in such a way, living for another person in such a way that is very different. When I got married, my wife and I were adults. You knew how to share time. You knew how to do things. It's a little different. You can get up when you want, you eat when you want. There's not a lot of demands by being committed to another adult. When it's a child, your life just suddenly shifts into that child's world. You start living your childhood all over again in certain ways. I mean, you're watching Teletubbies, and you'd never watch that show if you didn't have a kid. You're watching Blue's Clues, Kalo, all these little kid shows you would never watch. You go places, kids' restaurants. You go to amusement parks you'd never go to. As a couple or as an adult, you just really wouldn't think of going there, but you enjoy it because you go there because you see how your kid reacts, and it becomes a living through your kid kind of a thing. And so you start doing that, and so that just kind of mushrooms into other aspects. Just something as for perspective, putting your kids to bed at night, you got to go take them to the bath time. Now you can scrub them down and get them really fast and take them upstairs and put them to bed, and there can be pause of that, but your first kid, you're sitting there bathing your kid and you're talking and so forth. It becomes a little bit more of a drug out time investment. Instead of a 10-minute bath, it's a 25-minute bath or whatever. And when you're rushed and demanded by corporate jobs or other things, those extra 10 minutes there make a big deal. More importantly, when you have that second kid, and that's what we had two, is really when it kind of shifted. But anyways, getting back to a routine at night, putting your kids to bed, I'm sitting there, I'll watch Teletubbies with my kid, and I'll take her upstairs and sing to her. So the nighttime activities can turn into 30, 45 minutes very easily of time. That's the time I can go work out. But you do invest in your kid. You put that time. And I don't regret that. I'm just saying that it's a time management learning that you have to otherwise things like this happen. You lose yourself. You do the same thing if you get that second kid. Now you do it for one, you got to do it for the other. Birthday parties. You find every birthday invitation you feel that first kid an obligation to go be a part of. By the second kid, you're like, we'll send a present. We're not going, and those parents kind of learn it too. But that's kind of what happens is you spend a lot of time doing things as a whole family. I mean, even like just as a perspective, try going to a gym that doesn't have daycare and you have to take your kids with you. For example, my wife would travel. It's not always, but enough. She'd travel. So how do you go for a jog when you got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old home? How do you go to the gym and work out when you got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old home? Those things. It becomes a very different lifestyle to bring in that kind of aspect, to keep the aspect of your life going. Exercise, health. And so that was its own issue, is you're kind of melding that in when you have kids. And I'm not trying to exclude my wife because I'm talking about me. My wife was very supportive and she did a lot, and by all means, me not doing these things is on me. It was my behavior, it was me that did it. So I'm not trying to say that it was somebody else's fault. So understand it's me that didn't take these opportunities or didn't manage things well. But you start putting things aside and for yourself and for others, so that you spend time with others and you enjoy certain aspects of spending time with kids. And all of a sudden you got 5 more pounds, you got 10 more pounds, and 20 more pounds, and things like that happen. And you're just it's a slow build of when you don't invest in yourself, you don't care for yourself. So the pivotal point for me was, having kids. You start putting your time into others in an overly selfless way. The second pivotal point for me was about the time I had my second kid. I started my tax practice, and you're trying to build a practice, and no one tells you how to run a business. There's no formula. Everyone's got ideas. But at the end of the day, you're going to have, in that particular business, it's a very demanding client. And so again, you're pulled in all these different directions, and all day long, you come home, you're pulled in some different directions with your kids or other demands of life. And so it's learning to, again, develop certain kind of life skills that says I can, organize things and control things a little better, manage things a bit better, so that I don't get lost in the process. I mean, and it's for everybody. It's not me being selfish. My wife has to do it. Teach your kids as they grow up, they learn to do it. Everyone has the right to do that. And so that's kind of what happens is you lose yourself in that part, or I did. I lost myself. I can almost say you did. Who knows? Maybe you do a lot better job than I did. But as I lost myself, it became that aspect. Now the other key aspect is, I'm in a Mexican American family, and food is a big deal in our family. It's just a part of everything. I mean, it's, meal time is a big social time to my wife, very important to her. Every night, sit down, have meals, and share the day. And so that's a big deal. And so food is a part of everything. I mean, I'll just give an example. My mother-in-law, or all my in-laws, they show love through giving food. And I can say, estoy en dieta, tratando de perder la pesa. And they're like, oh, here's cake. No, Pueblo. They're wanting to feed me cake when I just said I'm on a diet and trying to lose weight, and they're shoving cake in my face. And I'm being exaggerated, but that's how they show love. And so if you don't accept it, it's an insult, especially to my mother-in-law of all people. That's definitely a big insult to her not to take her food. So how do you manage that is its own thing. That's its own family skill, and learning that. And it was all in love. It wasn't anything. I'll just give an example. Last March, or last summer, I was losing weight, and I got nieces and nephews posting these, these delicious, sumptuous cakes and cookies and food from Querétaro and Mexico City, and all these great foods on Facebook, and it's in my face. I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm posting nasty comments back to them, jokingly, of course. But that's it's a big deal. My nieces and nephews like food. That's a big part of what they share. And so that's, it's just a part of it. And every celebration, every event, every engaging aspect is food. And so there's a food pressure that came on. So combination of this is when I dropped exercise from my life, when I was really using it, and I didn't realize how much of an impact exercise was when I was younger or more fit. You know, you drop the exercise when you're spending more time with kids, starting to practice a business, whatever, working your careers. I dropped exercise, and exercise was a huge stress management tool for me. It really was. I didn't realize how much. So when it was gone, food became that replacement. And food was what I used to manage my stress, which is not good. It's not a good thing to do. A little bit of spoiler alert, go back to exercise, and I don't have nearly any food cravings at all. A little bit oversimplified, but you get the point. But that's kind of what happened is exercise is really that big for me, and it gives me the ability to discipline to not have any temptation with food. Take exercise away and food steps in. And that's just kind of simple for me. That's how it is. And so just kind of going down that path is, or that the logic is, you know, you're going to see what's going to happen in the next videos is how I lost it. But that's how I gained it. And so the lesson I would tell anyone who's watching this is you got to give yourself permission to care for you. And, you know, the reasoning is it's not selfish to do so. It's actually very, very unselfish to care for your health, so that, you know, later in life, especially as you get into, you know, certain ages, you know, it could be 30s for some people, 40s for some people, you get to a certain point. It's very important to take care of yourself so that you're not, you know, requiring others' help around you. You know, your siblings, your spouse, your kids don't have to step in and take care of you, and this is, you know, in a premature fashion. So you're taking care of your health, and you're not going to be unnecessarily needing theirs. And so that's kind of how I'd say it is if you're positioning someone as like, you know, take care of myself so I don't have to have you take care of me too soon, if at all. And so that's kind of how I look at it is I'm not being selfish by going and losing the 80 pounds, and we'll see why in another video, because I'm not going to cram all this into one. This is more of how you can go to a 260 or gain 80 pounds or whatever that weight gain is. And it's something to think about. Take the time to invest in yourself. Take the time to have those life skills to where you manage time, you manage those demands, because a lot of them are just self-inflicted. We don't need to be at every child event or every family event or every social event. We can slow life down and take control of our lives. And we'll talk about that more in another video, I'm sure, because I've got 2 or 3 in my head I'm thinking of. So anyway, so I hope that's been helpful. I hope this hasn't been too long. I didn't set a timer. I hope it's been somewhat enjoyable and not too boring. But I appreciate you for watching, and Aman, I hope this helps your channel. Kalo, I appreciate you encouraging me, and I'll say goodbye for now.